original sin is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Well, not really, because original sin is only relevant to the sinners themselves.
No.
I need the cow.
Take the cow.
Yeah.
You can't say that we'd reach the same end and not say that it's not irrelevant. What the hell are you saying?
Yeah, I'm just, yeah.
I mean, what is your particular belief about God? And how does this...
Well, we're not trying to be rude, man. We're just trying to get to where you're heading with this. That's all.
I understand.
Yeah.
God created everything.
Okay.
God created everything, and He...
But the question is... The question is the importance of knowledge. Why it's more important to think that our knowledge comes from God and what God has either designed or allowed us to comprehend intellectually, or and whether that's better or whether it is better for human beings to have pursued their own knowledge about the world. And I think that's really, I think that's what we're trying to...
Well, that would depend again on your perspective of what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
Where does that perspective on what's good and what's bad come from?
That perspective would be from the result of your knowledge. If you were to seek empirical knowledge, like you were saying, and if you were, I don't know, if you have math and all that stuff, then of course the result is going to be more empirical knowledge, and you'll be able to sort through what is right and what's wrong. The bad knowledge would come from, if your premise was wrong, then you would end up naturally with an aspect of bad knowledge somewhere in your life. You know what I mean? So...
Well, yeah, if you believe things that are false, then typically you will not have good experience. And
that's the trouble with religion, is because religion itself, depending on what religion you go through, there are universal truths in many religions, and very coinciding truths in,
like what?
In pretty much all religions.
Well, I think he means like
the
common
idea of goodness,
beliefs.
the idea of happiness. You have the idea of love.
Yeah, but what is it about, I mean, yes, religion contains things in it that are true in the sense that you're talking about, that we love, we care, we experience. But those things, I mean, to borrow one of Russell's themes again, you can find those themes in comic books like Spider-Man. What is it about, there's nothing intrinsic to the religion that makes it true. Religion is talking about human nature, reality, and those areas where it's consistent with reality, yeah, of course those are truths. I'm talking about whether or not a God exists, what evidence there is for this. I mean, you believe, what you started to say earlier, is that not only does God exist, but He created everything. Now, why would you believe that?
Just because it is, and I can't explain it. So you need I need a higher,
I think what you
guys, it seems just hopeless. It seems more of a decaying perspective. Having the idea that we're just on a rock and we're just observing science unfold.
No, I don't see anything hopeless about that. To me, that's an adventure.
It makes me anxious thinking.
I think what I'm getting from you, I mean, just reading between the lines of the things that you're saying, is that you have simply developed these beliefs because they've been things that you've been brought up with. They're part of your culture, they're part of your upbringing and what you've been raised in. And I think that you have really only just recently started thinking about them or trying to think about them, which is why in this call that we've been having with you, your thoughts have really come across being very, very unformed, like you're just sort of trying to puzzle it all out live on the line with us. And that's good, that's fine. But what I'd encourage you to do, if you want to call us back and talk to us anytime in the future, think about this stuff ahead of time, maybe try to write some ideas down, and get some sort of a linear flow going on there, because I think that what's happening is You keep running into stumbling blocks. You know, Matt will bring up a question, and there'll be a long pause, and you'll be
And to be
thinking
fair,
about
it's
it.
2-on-1 right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
Well, it isn't even really that. I think that Jeremy is really trying to think through his beliefs, and this is probably a new thing for you, and that's great. Just to sum all this up, what I was trying to say earlier was pertaining to the fact that a lot of religions, especially Christianity, try to make specific claims about what their God does and doesn't do, what their God has and has not revealed, simply so that God can get the credit for whatever good is going on in the world. But if you look at it just in a straightforward, from a factual perspective, you can say, well, if, for example, say the scientific knowledge that is available to us now in the 20th century, if all of that information was in fact in the Bible in some sort of arcane and in coded form all this time, then why wouldn't God have been perhaps a little bit more clear about it? I mean, for example, there could have been hundreds of millions of lives saved in the 14th century with the Black Death. If the idea of, we were talking earlier, bacteria, these little germs, the germ theory of disease, if those people had known about that then, instead of us having to get almost all the way through the 19th century before that was a proven thing, a lot of misery and strife and suffering could have been saved for the human race if that had been known. So I think that what you see a lot of times in religion with
it may not have been addressed in the Bible.
Yeah, but I was just trying to explain. I was responding to a certain claim that I have heard some Christians make, and trying to say, based on my observations, that claim can't really be true. I think you're just taking credit for the modern knowledge that we have through the very human intellectual pursuit of science and what have you. And then they take that and then they try to give their Bible and their God credit for it when that isn't really justified. That was really all of that what I was getting to. But look, I encourage you to think through your beliefs more and try to sort of get some flow going and call us back in the future.
And on that note, I gotta let you go, Jeremy, because we actually do have full lines again. But please do, call back, and there's more points to discuss it. Part of the problem is that we get so kind of scattershot, broad. I mean, we covered all kinds of things in there. And really it was just about, well, why didn't God reveal this? Well, there's plenty of other questions that we could ask for people who have serious beliefs in things like the Bible about why God, according to their beliefs, did this or didn't do this. And, it's like, well, why isn't there a commandment saying thou shalt not enslave thy fellow man? Why isn't there one against, a book burning or the challenging ideas? How much do we lose when Christians, religionists, went after the Library of Alexandria, where we had to, this was before knowledge was stored in a way where it was
and I thought the
fairly
Muslims
safe.
had a little bit of a, I thought the Muslims had to have to take a little bit of the Alexandria credit too, don't they?
No.
Who was it? Who did that to Alexandria?
Muslims didn't exist. It was Christians.